there. Very good morning to you. Or indeed good afternoon or a good evening. Hope you're all well. Thanks a million for joining today. Delighted to be back doing these sessions. I've taken a little bit of time out over August, feeling fully rested, recharged, and ready to go to, I guess, to finish off what has been a really successful Q3 for us here at Ingenio, both in terms of recruitment and also on the e-learning side of things. Delighted to be live on LinkedIn this morning. Delighted to be live on Zoom, and look, maybe you're listening or watching back, on YouTube or on some of our podcast channels. Great to be with you. Great to be back, and delighted to be talking to you about a topic that I think is probably our most subscribed topic, and that is all around your CV and some of the mistakes that perhaps you're making without even knowing you're making them. Folks, my name is Rob Magee. I'm the CEO here at Ingenio. As I said, we have two businesses that help the SaaS software and technology space. One is a recruitment business, which has been operating for about 7 years, and the second is an e-learning business that we launched last year, very specifically to help people like you get hired in those SaaS software and technology organizations. We are talking today about, as I said already, the mistakes that you don't know you're making. What I wanted to just try and give you a bit of a kind of an update on is some of our back catalogue, some of the stuff that we've been doing over the course of the summer. There is an absolute ton of information, of live webinars, community-based conversations on our YouTube channel. And if you want some more information or you want to be pointed to where they are, let us know, and Lisa and the folks here in the team will obviously will get you into some of that level of detail. Today, I want to talk about CVs, okay, or resumes, depending on where in the world you're listening to us or tuned in from. It's really interesting, actually. We've been doing a lot of coaching, very specific coaching with people over the last probably 6 or 8 weeks of all degrees of capabilities. Some people who are literally coming out of school or university, some people who are, well in situ in terms of their career, and some people who are incredibly experienced. And it is amazing, absolutely amazing, the mistakes that people make from a CV perspective or a resume perspective. There are 4 absolutely key critical sections that you need to have nailed and covered really, really well in your CV, and they are laid out for you here, right? Your profile, your work experience, the outcomes, impact, and output that you have actually, the stuff that you've actually done, the difference that you've made, the results that you've achieved, quantified. It is amazing and incredible how many people miss that, which kind of continues to astound us. But look, if you don't know, you don't know. But that's really, really important section. And then look, the last one then is interests. And the reason the interest one is so important, and I think people probably tune out of or have tuned out of this over the last few years, is because that usually or typically is what creates a bit of a connect, a digital connect, a remote connect, and a personal connection and contact as part of an interview process. So look, those 4 sections are absolutely critical. Clearly, things like education, depending on the role that you're going for, are important. But what we really want to try and get you focusing in on education, and I should say certifications, they're very important. But we really want to try and get these 4 pillars absolutely nailed for you in your CV when you effectively go to market with them. I think the first big mistake that a lot of people make when they're going through the application process is actually not understanding what that application process looks like when you click or hit apply, whether that's, you know, here on LinkedIn or on Indeed or on a client's career page, or wherever it is that you're basically doing your job applications from. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking Software, or an applicant tracking system. And an ATS is typically used, I mean, if you think about our clients who are all SaaS software and technology ones, the medium to large size businesses have ATS software in place. And what that is, it's effectively a tool that is automated software that is effectively an algo or a robot or whatever you want to call it. And what that ATS is doing is it's looking at your application, right? So it's looking at your CV in relation to and in comparison to the job description that has basically been advertised. And what it's doing is it's matching the two together, okay? And the vast majority of large organizations are using ATS as standard, right? The vast majority are using standard. A high proportion of medium-sized businesses are using ATS. And an unusually high proportion of smaller based businesses are also using this software, whether they're using it themselves in-house or whether they, you know, they're reliant or dependent on a recruitment agency or executive search business. Effectively, ATS is being used. And basically, if you're not aware of what ATS is and what it, how it's constructed and how it's set up, and importantly, how it can potentially block you or not get you through the gate of just even the application, then look, you're making a massive, massive mistake, right? So I think the really, really important thing that I wanted to try and call out here is, if let's say, for example, if someone is writing, if an employer or a recruiter is writing a job description, what they will do is there will be very certain specific keywords in there, okay? And they might be around certification, they might be around experience, they might be around output, outcome, they might be around a technology platform, it might be around a capability of, let's say, for example, sales or account executive, whatever the case may be. And really, really importantly, if your CV or resume doesn't have, you know, a percentage of the keywords that are required, then you literally you don't even get the opportunity to have your CV reviewed by a human being, which is quite scary, actually, if you think about that. So look, the key thing that I want to try and get you thinking about there, right? Clearly, you need to know what ATS is, right? Go on YouTube and Google it and just, you know, watch a couple of videos so that you understand what it is in a little bit more detail than what I've just given to you there in the last 90 seconds. Know how they work, okay? Make sure that your CV or resume is ready, right, and appropriate, and that it can be read by a robot, or that it can be read by software, it can be scanned, and this is becoming a major issue when people are taking it upon themselves to design outrageously beautiful CVs or resumes, right, that look incredible. But like, actually, there's so much stuff on there. There might be imagery, or there might be coding embedded, or whatever the case may be. And it may well be the case that that piece of software is just physically unable to go and read what you've actually embedded in there. Really, really important, okay? Listen, this is the way things are absolutely, and this is the way this is going to go even more. It's incredible. We get hit up and knocked up probably 2 or 3 times a week by vendors trying to sell us software that is entirely AI and ML, machine learning enabled, so that we can accelerate and speed up the process of our recruitment cycles for our clients. And then the last thing I mentioned there is making sure that, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about this in a second, is that it's tailored, and that the keywords in your application are tailored to the particular specific job advert that you're applying to and replying to. Really, really important, okay? What are the big mistakes that we see? Okay, so it's really interesting. I was doing some analysis with Anna, who runs our marketing function, earlier on in the week. And over the course of July, we as a recruiter, we received just under 4,000 applications through our various different channels, which obviously is a phenomenal amount of inbound traffic that obviously has to get reacted and responded and reviewed and everything else like that, right? So I guess the first thing I want to try and do is I want to try and give you an appreciation for effectively the organizations that you might be applying into, okay? And by far, the biggest mistake that we see is that people are using the same CV over and over and over and over again. There's no tailoring, there's no updating, there's no reflecting it to basically match and suit what is being called out in the job description. People will say, I'm a project manager. The job that you're looking for is a project manager, and therefore I'm a fit and I'm a match. And what they actually haven't done is they haven't updated their CV to reflect that. Really, really, really important, right? I know that might feel like if you're doing a huge amount of applications every day, I know that might feel like a big piece of work, but you've got to go and do it. Otherwise, you'll get knocked out and dismissed. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is personal hate. Okay, references on request. I absolutely hate seeing this on a CV. Either put your references in or don't say anything at all. And what we would always urge people to go and do is actually put your references in. No doubt you have worked with someone who is happy to vouch for you and is happy to vouch for your character or your experience or your background or your skills or whatever the case may be. And what we really want to try and urge you to go and do is to bring that to life in your CV. So if you've worked with Rob Magee for the last 6 months on a particular project or program, or as an employer, put Rob's details in there. Put his name down, put his title down, put his business down, and put a clickable link to his LinkedIn profile so that you can bring that reference, that you can bring it to life immediately. Really, really important. Okay. I mentioned this in the last slide, and it's incredible that people do not connect the work that they do, regardless of what job they go and do. Excuse me. It's incredible that people do not connect what they do as part of their job with what happens in a business. And look, as everyone knows, right, the functions of a capitalist-based business are relatively simple, right? They either want to drive revenue or increase sales. They want to cut costs or reduce costs. They want to increase customer experience and the user experience. And look, there might be a number of other kind of drivers, if you like, right? But if you think about that, just think about those three kind of drivers initially. What I want to try and get you to go and really think about, but then articulate in your CV, is how have you directly connected your job, your results, your output, your outcomes, or the metrics that you've worked to with what that company is trying to achieve from an overall driver perspective. And look, maybe you don't know the answer to that question, or that initiative right now, but I guarantee you, if you spend a little bit of time really thinking about that and reflecting on it, you'll be able to connect your output results to some form of business imperative, business initiative, and indeed something that was either there to drive new clients or to maybe build a new product that was going to serve new customers in a new geography or a new vertical, that you were part of a team that was trying to drive efficiencies to maybe take out £500,000 of OPEX. Whatever the case may be, it's really, really important that you're actually able to connect the dots all the way through to the impact that you have on the business, because ultimately that's what your hiring manager is being paid to go and do. They are being paid to go and deliver set specific metrics up to C-level or the board or the investors or whatever the case may be. So it's really important that you nail that. Serial applicants, again, going back to ATS software, serial applicants are people who will immediately get tagged and coded as being people who are constantly applying for the same job. And there's, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are, let's say, for example, you've been applying for desktop support engineer roles, and then there's an IT service desk role, and then there's maybe a technical account manager role or a customer success role, and you're applying for all of those roles, which are relatively similar in a similar bucket, in a similar business, but all a little bit different, and your CV or your resume is the same, you're going to start to get scored as a serial applicant. And basically what will happen then is your scoring and your ranking and your rating becomes less, just drops down. You might not like hearing that, particularly if there's a very particular type or specific type of business that you want to go and get hired in. But serial applicants never, ever do well unless they change the way they go about their application process. And I was going to say that this is probably the biggest one, but I've already said that, right? It is, again, to me, it is incredible how few people take the time to pick up the phone and ring the individual, whether that's the recruiter, the in-house recruiter, the agency recruiter, the hiring manager, maybe someone in the team. It is incredible how few people take the time to pick up the phone to follow up an application. Lots of people do nothing. Lots of people will maybe follow it up with another relatively useless digital outreach email message, which is just going to get buried in another bigger pile. But it is incredible that people do not take the time and show that they actually want the job by picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, Rob, I applied for the job that you posted. Very specifically, it was that senior project management role. I'm really keen, obviously, in it. This is my background, and I want to just check in with you and see, how is the application review process going, and when do you expect that I'll hear something back?" It's not pushy, it's not aggressive, it's not salesy, but it does a number of different things. It gives you a connect. It shows that you're a little different from the vast majority of applicants. And it really importantly, it gives you that, it gives you the ability to be able to communicate with, hopefully, the individual that's going to end up hiring you. Really important. Okay. So I see an absolute load of questions coming in here, which we're going to go and get to really quickly before I move to that. Just talking about Ingenio Learning and the course that we have built and developed for people like you. There's the stat that we are unbelievably proud of. 90% of our students get hired in 90 days. This is what some of our students are saying about the course, about having taken the course, but really importantly, about where they got hired once they've taken the course. And look, you might know some of these organizations. Sorry, you will know some of these organizations, some of the biggest organizations in the world. And there are lots of organizations in here you won't know of. And look, we are here to help you get hired by these organizations. Our gift to people that are tuned in today is our course is normally €100. There's a 60% discount. And this offer is specifically for people who are tuned in today. That offer expires this Friday, and we'll get you some details in terms of how to go and purchase that straight after the course, or straight after this call, I should say. And really quickly, there's a CV review service that we have launched only in the last couple of weeks that's gone incredibly well. The bonus material, if you buy this course, you get the CV review included. Okay. But look, if you're looking for just a CV review or some assistance on that one, type CV into the chat box and Lisa and the guys will come back to you on that. We've also got a one-to-one career coaching session, which is a number of one-to-one sessions with me. And again, just type one-to-one into chat box and we'll get you some details.